Oh, Galaxian, how I love thee. I first saw Galaxian at my local arcade, where I grew up in Terre Haute, Indiana, the Galaxy arcade. This was the primary arcade I played a lot of games in. There were others that opened up, during the 80s, during my, the gaming era. But Galaxy Arcade was the primary one I visited to play new arcade games. And on this particular day, when my brother and I visited the arcade to hang out in the mall, we saw Galaxian. Now, one of the things that really drew me to this game was the beautiful sprites on this game. The multicolor sprites, the scrolling star field was really, really neat to see. And I really enjoyed, the sounds of the game. I've dumped a lot of quarters in this crazy thing over my lifetime. And I know Galaga is probably my most favorite game of this type, but Galaxian holds a little special place in my heart because it was a game that me and my brother really bonded over playing quite a bit. I used to try to get the high score. I never could get the high score on this crazy game. My brother always beat me at this game for some reason. I guess it was because I wasn't really good at ducking the diving aliens, because I was used to games like Space Invaders, where all you have to worry about is dodging the shots that they're shooting at you. Whereas in this game, those little critters would come flying down at you to either ram you or shoot you. And of course, your ship moves a little bit slower than they do, so if you don't know the pattern of where they're going to go to counteract with your ship, a lot of times you get hit. Well, most of the time, I would get hit, quite often. But it was still a very fun game to play. I really liked the explosions of your ship when it got hit. I mean, that's probably what really drew me to this game, was the graphics of it itself. It's just really, really nice to look at. And of course, I remember seeing on TV a commercial for the Atari 2600, and one of those bits in that commercial was showing Galaxian being played on the 2600. Now, back then, the only way we knew about games coming out was either via a TV commercial or the game magazine I used to subscribe to and love to death, the Electronic Games magazine. In this one particular issue, I remember getting in the mail, I think it was in 1983 or so. I remember seeing a full-page ad that was advertising Galaxian for the 2600. I was like, oh man, I've got to get this game. This is one of the later games I purchased with my money I was earning working at a fast food restaurant. I think I was working at, where was I working during this time? 1983. I think I was working at Deli on the Green down in Honey Creek Square Mall. Pretty sure I was working there at that time, 1983. But I know I was using my own money to buy these games. And that was right before I got my car. And once I got my car, all bets were off because I became obsessed with cars and chasing chicks. So video games took a back seat. But I did get this Galaxian game for the 2600. Loved it to death. Now, before I got the 2600 version of Galaxian, for Christmas one year, I was given the Intex 2 Galaxian game. This was a VFD game that you could play either single or two-player Galaxian. It was very simple, but it had the scrolling star field and everything, and it was really cool. Not too long after that, when the Coleco Minicade came out of Galaxian, of course, I had to have it. But back to the 2600 version. I enjoyed playing the 2600 version of Galaxian. I still do to this day. Back then when I got it, I don't think I really paid too much attention that it had a yellow border around it. I was just thrilled to be able to play Galaxian at home on my Atari 2600. It plays fairly well. I do like how the ship is faster on this version, so you can actually dodge those little critters a lot easier than the arcade version. But still, it's still a great version. I know there's hacks out there where people's made it look more like the arcade version, but the original 2600 version always holds a special place in my heart. I love the 2600 version of Galaxian. It's really, really cool. So now let's take a look at what came in the box. So let's check out the box for Galaxian for the Atari 2600. This is part of the Silver Box series, which, I kind of like. I do like the artwork on the front. It brings across the arcade game pretty well. Pretty neat. This also came with a comic book. Unfortunately, this one does not have the comic book inside, so it's not a complete in-box version. But I may add the comic book to it later on. I think it was comic book number 5 that went into here. Anyway, let's look on the back of the box. On the back, it shows a screenshot of the gameplay, which is very representative of what the game looks like. 9 skill levels, 1 player. Use your joystick controller. Part of an arcade favorite series. Oh, yeah. So in the box, we have, of course, our Galaxian cartridge. Pretty much looks just like the artwork on the front of the box. Pretty nice. Silver label. Also in the box, we have our instruction book as well. Oh, look, a warranty card. Oh, there's a warranty card in this one. Awesome. So we have a nice little full color instruction book. I love the color manuals on the Atari 2600 games. Open it up here. Table of contents. Oh, I like that artwork. The gameplay, use the controller, the console controls. Pretty cool. Has the scoring. And of course the helpful hints. I love these helpful hints. Warning, sometimes exploding particles from a destroyed red arc squirt are deadly. Cool. Awesome. I love Galaxian Arcade, which I've already talked about earlier in this video and everything. So I'm pretty happy they added this to the Atari 26 lineup. Anyway, thanks for watching.